on this episode of The Breakthrough Show. You're meeting the youngest guests we've ever had in Breakthrough Show history. And what's more, they're CEOs of their own companies. Vanessa, Benjamin, and Viani Wong are here to show us that kids can do anything they set their minds to, including running their own businesses. We'll also meet one of the most inspiring guests we've ever interviewed. After a devastating accident that left him in a coma for nearly 2 months, he's on a mission to help the world make every second count. Author and speaker Jeff Marconette Jr. is here to share his story of triumph. So stick around, all this and more coming up today on The Breakthrough Show.
Life gives us moments when we have the opportunity to make a choice, and what we choose has the potential to change our lives forever. Join us now for another inspired episode of The Breakthrough. And now, please welcome the creator and host of the show, Jessica Dugas.
Welcome back to The Breakthrough Show. I'm so excited to have you here for another episode today. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, intuitive mentor, inspirational entertainer, and of course, your host here on The Breakthrough Show. I'm really pumped up about this episode, you guys, because later on, we're going to be talking to an amazing speaker with the most incredible story. His name's Jeff Marconette, and he's going to be here later on. But first up, if you guys remember back on season 4, I had an amazing woman that I met because I emailed her company and said her granola was delicious, and really excited that I did that. Her name's Sylvia Tam. And then I got to know her a little bit and heard about her amazing children. And we have all 3 of her children here today to share a little bit about being a kid in the entrepreneur space. Everyone, please welcome to the show, Benjamin Wong, Vanessa Wong, and Vianney Wong. Welcome to the show, you guys.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Thank you for being here. I'm so, by far, as I mentioned, the youngest guest we've ever had on the show, and really excited to dig in and get a little bit into your story. So I want to start out by, because we say kids, but everybody's going to watch and want to know, how old are you guys? So Vanessa, why don't you start us off?
Sure. I'm Vanessa and I'm 16.
All right. And Benjamin?
I'm Ben and I'm 14.
And I'm Vianney and I'm 11.
Awesome. So actual kids and teens, sorry. And really excited to have you guys here today. Your mom's an entrepreneur. And is this something that you guys just grew up, that this is the way things are supposed to be? Or have you seen sort of all different examples of adulthood?
We definitely grew up in an entrepreneur household. From a young age, we've always been doing entrepreneur type activities, my mom and her business as a family business. And I think Ben should add, he did a lot of entrepreneurial things as a kid that were kind of cute, like little stores in his room and making little toys. So Ben, you want to add?
Yeah, sure. I always wanted like things like a membership to a video game or something like that. And, my parents, of course, occasionally might buy me like a toy or something. This is back then, of course. But all like the extra stuff I had to earn myself. So I just found some money making opportunities. Some weren't as great. Like one time I tried to have like a antique shop with like a foil swan, like actual foil that you cook with. And I had under my table this cabinet where I would sell them and stuff. And then on another time, this was like 2016, when me and 2 of my best friends, we wanted these subscription boxes for like these Star Wars collectibles. And so we have a bunch of avocado trees out front. So we just spent the entire day picking avocados. We took them to the corner and we sold out, which was pretty fun.
Wow. I mean, it seemed it seems foreign to me, and I'm sure many of the other people that are watching right now, that it wasn't like, let me see how long I can whine until I get those things that I want. Let me just create a business, because I think even as us being adults, we sometimes we don't think in a way of that's outside of the box. You know what I mean? Like, we don't think, let's think about something we haven't done yet. It's not always second nature for us to do that. So it blows my mind that at literally 9 years old, you're saying, I'm going to go make something and I'm going to sell it because I have things that I want. That's a lot of drive, Ben.
Yeah, and I think that are those lessons carried on with me today.
I love that. So you guys are all in the entrepreneurial space. And I think a lot of the parents that are watching the show today are thinking, that's a lot. That's a lot for a child, because a child's going to school and you also want to have the time to play and to explore and have fun and discover things you want. How do you fit all that in?
I think it's definitely about balance. That's a big thing here at home. We definitely say work hard, play hard, and do what we need to do, and also have room for the extra things. So a little bit you could say is about sacrifice, but in our household, since we're such an entrepreneur family, we tend to do work together and make our business time also our family time. And we're all part of Scouts, like Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts. So we've grown up with just having a lot on our plate. We all play instruments. And so having just a ton of extracurriculars along with school and family time, we just learned to balance it all together.
That's a lesson that most adults could learn. That's a lesson that most adults could learn, because we're all juggling a lot. And I think that it's really, it can be difficult for us to have that balance and find it and create it for ourselves too. But one of the things you said that I love is that you're all doing it together, that it's a family thing, that you're working together, you're playing together, and you've got that example there. Now, say that we have, some parents watching who are not entrepreneurs. They're not, that's not how they grew up. That's not how they are now. And their child maybe has expressed some entrepreneurial interest in wanting to do things. But they feel like, look, I don't have the time to show that this is how things can be done. What would you say to them to encourage them to let their child sort of explore those different entrepreneurial ideas?
For me, to get a parent to allow their child to go through these endeavors, I would just, say, would you rather them maybe, spend a couple of dollars, go set up a lemonade stand, maybe lose all their money, but would you rather that, or would you rather them, sitting at home all day, playing video games? And even if there is one moment of like a failure where, they might have tried something entrepreneurial and they lost money or something, that wouldn't have happened, if they were watching TV, it's still well-earned lessons that they're going to take with them forever.
Absolutely. Yes. What would you say to someone who looked into your lifestyle and your choice to be an entrepreneur at such a young age and say, you're just a kid? I mean, it's great and it's fine and it's cute, but it can't be a real business. What would you say to that, Ben? I have a feeling you would tell them what they needed to hear.
Right. So I always use this comparison. I use many analogies to explain this, but one of my favorites is about iPhones. Every year there's a new iPhone 1, iPhone 12, and the newest iPhone is always the youngest one, but it's the best one because it's the newest one. So for me, I look at my parents and them starting a business, and a lot of the troubles they go through are because they are adults. The roadblocks to creating a business, they have to pay mortgage, they have to put food on the table. But as kids, most of those things are taken care of by your parents. So really you have this amazing opportunity where there is no risk involved, because even if you fail, nothing happens. No one's going to look back and say, well, on your college application, you started a business at age 10 and you failed. And because of that, you can't get in here. But there's a lot less risk involved because there's nothing stopping you. There's nothing that you'll lose if you aren't too successful in that, first try.
That's a really good point. I didn't even think about that before, of how you have much more room as a younger person to explore all of these things without, some of the consequences that we have as adults. So granted, you have consequences, but not the kind of adult consequences like we have as we get older. Vianney, I know that you are really artistic, and I know that you're into music and drawing and singing, and you're also into cooking as well, which my daughter is too. I think you guys would have so much fun in the kitchen if we could get you guys together one day. Have you thought about taking those things that you're passionate about on a creative level to the entrepreneur space, making a business out of those things?
I actually have, since I love to do a lot of creative crafts, and I make a lot of paper squishies now. So my mom had me have a business on eBoo, and we kind of just are starting to create a business where I can sell and have fun and kind of bring my creativity to the entrepreneur lifestyle.
I love that too, because I think that as adults, we are oftentimes doing activities to try to figure out what we're passionate about. And one of the first things that they always have you do is go back to your childhood and think about the things that you were creative with then or passionate about then. So I'm blown away by you guys. I'm excited to see you in 15, 20 years from now and where you're at. I'm going to completely watch your stories. Well, it's not going to be hard because I think all of you are going to be in the news, and because you were already, right?
Yeah, I did a couple interviews and press for articles and TV shows.
Yeah, we're going to continue to see that. I know it. Vanessa, what are some of the things that interest you that you are passionate about now in your life?
Yes, so I did a lot of volunteering growing up, and pre-COVID, I'm in a volunteer group that I started in my city. So we did a lot of volunteering together. I specifically love working with youth and children. So anywhere in that area to help foster kids. And I also, my freshman year of high school, so that was 9th grade, I was in my drama theater elective. And I joined business, which is one of the departments. So you have like acting, and then we had business, and they were in need of a social media manager. And before that, I hadn't really had much experience, but I have personal social media. So I thought I'd give it a try and see if I like it. And so that year I started doing the social media marketing for my drama club. And turns out that I was a lot better than I had first anticipated. The flow was just kind of coming to me a little bit more normal. And so I think that was where it really just sparked. And I was like, hey, that seems like something I'm pretty good at. And it comes pretty naturally to me. And that's pretty rare. So now I am doing social media for 2 other businesses. And I think I've found something that I have both a creative mind with it and also a business aspect towards it too. So it's kind of the perfect mix of both worlds.
Yes, absolutely. What would you, if you could give one amazing social media tip to our listeners today, what would you give them?
For a social media manager?
Yes.
I would say, think about who your audience is and just talk to them. A lot of the time, I think we think, oh, it's social media, like there's a barrier in between, the screen and coming off. But a lot of the time, the best ways to just talk to people even through the captions is just talk like you would normally talk. I like to throw a pun in there every once in a while, some fun emojis, and just have fun with it. That's the easiest way to look most authentic in your work.
That's perfect, because we complicate things sometimes. We try to come up sometimes with all of this amazing copy. And what you're saying is just have a conversation, just talk to your audience, right? I love that. I want to get to our guest today, Jeff, but will you guys hang around and then we can do some more chatting at the end? All right, guys, we're going to be back in just a minute for more of the Breakthrough Show. What's up, everyone? It's Jessica here, your host of the Project Joy podcast and, of course, the Breakthrough Show. I want to take a moment and thank all of our supporters here at the show. With your financial support, we are able to expand the show and reach more people with the hopes of inspiring our audience members to change their lives for the better and know they are supported during times of breakthrough. We welcome our one-time contributions to our show by sending a PayPal to business@thebreakthroughshow.com, or you can join us at patreon.com/thebreakthroughshow, where you'll be rewarded for your regular contribution with things like our exclusive community, Soul Connection Collective, merchandise discounts, fun shout-outs on the show, and more. On behalf of everyone here at the Breakthrough Show and its network, we thank you for your generous support. Welcome back to the Breakthrough Show. You know, life can change in the blink of an eye. In a moment, everything can change. Everything can be different. And as I've talked about so many times on this show, it's not actually that moment that changes everything. It's what you do with it. It's what you do from that moment on that makes your life and the rest of the world different because of it. My special guest today is an international speaker. He is an author. He has lived a life that I think is so incredible because he has literally made every second count. Please welcome my special guest to the Breakthrough Show, Jeff Marconette Jr. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here.
I'm really excited to have you here today, Jeff, because we talked initially, the author part that I mentioned, my kids, 3 of my oldest children got your book for Christmas, which I'm really excited about. And I can't wait for people to just be inspired by you today. So I would love for you to start out by sharing with our audience something that is bringing you joy today.
That's pretty easy today. Now, you see, she talks about life can change in a second. And that all stems from my car accident 19 years ago today. So this is the 19th year anniversary of my wreck. I know a lot of people wouldn't think that would be a great day, but it's said by Mark Twain that the 2 most important days in one's life is when they are born and when they figure out why. And I'm not saying that this car accident made me figure out why I'm here, but it sure put me on the right path. It made me re-examine my life. And at the time, I was in college prep pre-engineering course at my local vocational school and riding my bike 24/7. It didn't matter if it was rain, snow, or extreme heat. I was out there riding my bike. And when this happened, it made me re-examine things. So
I love that. And I normally do not share, dates and everything on this show because we really like to keep it as evergreen as possible so that no matter when anybody is listening, that it's a good timing for them. But we are recording this on January 7th, 2021. And when we talked about getting Jeff on the show initially, and it was, when are we going to do this? And he said, there is no more perfect day than January 7th, 2021. And so I think it's incredible, the synchronicity that you're on today. And it is the 19th anniversary. And I'm sure thankful for it being the anniversary of not just surviving, but thriving for you another year, because you're here and you're able to tell your story and inspire people. I would love to have you take us back to that time about 19 years ago. What kind of life were you living? Tell us a little bit about Jeff then.
Well, I was a jerk.
The honesty on the show, you guys.
Okay. I mean that honestly. In high school, I was a jerk. I was a junior in high school, and I wasn't a nice kid. I would have been what you would have considered a mean girl. I'm not a girl, but a mean girl.
I gotcha.
And I'm saying that because of the movie Mean Girls.
I watched it 2 nights ago, so this is fresh in my mind right now.
Well, that's cool. But I am what you would call a mean girl. And at the time, I was smart, don't get me wrong. And I talked to everybody in school. It didn't matter if they were jocks, if they were nerds, if they were losers. It didn't matter. I was there for them. I was talking to them, but I was a jerk most of the time. And I picked on a lot of people most of the time. And that was just a part of me. And I don't understand it, but it was a part of me.
Do you look back after everything that you've been through since then and have any regrets, or do you feel like that was just part of your journey that you needed to be like that or be that certain way to be able to move forward?
Well, I have gone back now and apologized to some people. And so you can say I'm kind of regretful, but I do feel that was something that I needed to go through and learn from, because you don't just go through things, but you grow through things.
I love that. Grow through things. I think that goes back to what I was saying at the beginning of where, these things happen in our lives, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to do anything. We have to take it and choose to do something with them. Right. Can you tell us what happened with the accident? What was the circumstances about that?
Yes, I sure can. Thank you for asking. So I was on my way to lunch one day from high school, and I was sitting at a red light. Now, it was red, so I wasn't really paying attention, and I was changing my music. I was actually listening to Incubus's album, Make Yourself. Now, I know I'm dating myself a little here, but I was listening to that, and a friend behind me actually honked at me to let me know the light was green. Now, like I said, I was a jerk, and I like to mess with people, and people like to mess with me. So I have a lot of friends that would do something like that, and the light would be red. But so I quickly looked up. The light was green. So I went ahead and pulled forward. I didn't look to the left. I didn't look to the right. And when I pulled forward, a semi from the left decided to run the red light. He T-boned me in the intersection, automatically knocking me unconscious, broke my neck, broke my jaw, fractured 2 ribs, a punctured lung, and a ruptured spleen. Now, my worst injury was one that nobody could see, because my worst injury still affects me today, and that's what makes me talk a little slow, walk a little funky. And that's what's made me struggle for so long to get to where I am today. And that is a traumatic brain injury. And from that traumatic brain injury, I spent 2.5 months in a coma.
Wow.
Now, just in case you missed that, I'll say that again, but 2.5 months in a coma. So
what were they telling your family? Were they saying that you were going to come out of it, or what was the talk then?
Well, they didn't know that I would ever come out of it. And if I did, would I even know who they were?
Right.
And it's weird because I can only imagine what that did to my parents, how that made my parents feel.
So you eventually 2.5 months later came out of the coma. What has your healing journey been like? Where did it start as opposed to where you are now?
Well, it started with me just in a hospital bed, as you can imagine. And it was extremely hard to move every muscle in my body. I had what they consider atrophy. And I started walking with a they call it an evil walker, and you put your arms up on the walker to support yourself, and then just walk that way while propel yourself with your feet while you're suspended in the air. And that was extremely challenging. And they told me at the time that I could just quit this therapy thing anytime. People lived every day in a wheelchair and they were happy. Mm-hmm. I refused. I said no because I saw more from myself. They said, well, this is the best you might expect. We don't know how far you're going to make it. Don't waste your time doing this.
Wow.
And I refused. And I eventually got to the point where I could easily get up out of bed, easily into the wheelchair, or easily getting up and walking a little with the walker. I wasn't walking full time with the walker at this time. And they told me the same thing again. Jeff, you can quit this therapy thing anytime. People live every day with the walker and they're happy. I said, yeah, they might be, but I'm not. They said, well, this is the best you can expect, really. This is amazing you've made it this far. We don't know if you're going to make it any further. And I said, okay, I'm going to push myself. I'm going to at least try. See, that's where people lose out on a lot of stuff in life. They don't honestly push themselves enough to try. I have a little, I don't know what I would call it, but an idea, I guess, that people live every day in a coma, just going through life, just not pushing themselves, not striving for more, but just surviving. And instead of just surviving, I wanted to thrive, which I am now. So I got to the point where I was walking with a walker at all times. I no longer rode in the wheelchair. And they couldn't believe it. They were jumping for joy because this was something they didn't expect. But it's something I expected. Yeah. So they told me at that point that I could quit this thing anytime. People lived every day walking with the walker and they're happy. I said, yeah, they probably are, but I'm not. I see more for myself. So I got to the point where I was walking with a cane all the time. And they were ecstatic. They couldn't believe it that I had stuck with it for so long that I was walking with a cane finally. And they told me same thing. This is the best you can probably expect, Jeff. You might as well just throw in the towel now. You've made it so far. Just celebrate yourself. I said, yeah, I probably could. But I seen more for myself. Yeah. So I got to walking completely unassisted. So no walker, no cane, no wheelchair, nothing. And it was amazing. And honestly, it probably kind of surprised me. I had seen it, but I didn't really know if it was possible.
Right.
And the thing is, they told me again at that time, Jeff, this is amazing, man. You've made it so far. You can quit this therapy thing anytime now. People live every day walking unassisted. just like you are right now. And they're happy. I said, yeah, they might be, but I'm not. You see, I'm going to run. Nobody is going to stop me from running, because a lot of people just get permission to stop from someone else. And instead of being themselves, instead of listening to their own heart, they take that permission. They take somebody else's permission to quit. So if I know I can run, what's going to stop me from running?
Right.
The fact that it's hard? I can do hard. I've proven that. I've been in physical therapy for actually 19 years today. So I can do hard, guys. That's not anything for me.
I can so relate to people coming in, and I think they have the best intentions for us. They acknowledge the work that we've done, and they want to give us that permission to rest. And I've always been, I feel like you and I are similar to where we maybe always have been a little stubborn. Like, don't tell me that I can't do that.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed when people tell me I can't do something, because it gives me more motivation, more encouragement to go out there and try even harder.
At what point did you look at your journey and say, I want to use this and inspire other people?
Well, it all started like maybe 8 years ago when I was involved in Herbalife. And I was just going to the events all the time. And I would so fall in love when I saw the personal development section at the events. In fact, I would hold everything in and wouldn't even go to the bathroom during those personal development sections. And I could always, it's Les Brown that has this thing that he says that I could see myself up there doing that. I could see myself doing what they're doing, pushing people, instilling encouragement and motivation in people, because I have a story too. But then, just like with Les, when I would be walking to the parking lot out to my car, in the back of my head, this little guy would say, "But how are you going to do that, Jeff?" But I thought to myself, yeah, that's probably true. So I went out and I found a person to teach me to speak. Now, I found Dr. Ruben West in the Black Belt Speakers. So I came home and I told my mom that I was going to be a speaker. I was going to share my story. I was going to write my story in this book. And she was all excited for me. And then, like 2.5 weeks after returning from that training, my mom passed away.
Oh my goodness.
And I was so surprised. We were standing, we had the line in front of us at the viewing. And I was so surprised when Dr. Ruben West walked in.
Wow. What a, as Oprah says, a full circle moment, to have dreamed about working with him and, yes, dreamed about working with him, and then he's there for you, and then you work with him, and now he's writing the forward for you. What a beautiful, just testament to your journey as well. And as I shared with Jeff, we got a copy of the book for our 3 oldest, the teenagers in our household. Really excited about having them start out with that. So we're definitely going to have to do an update later once they finish their 9-week, because it's going to help them, as the title says, make every second count. What is next for you, Jeff? What's on your agenda?
Well, this year I had planned to do the 4th annual Shawnee County Teen Resiliency and Suicide Prevention event in Kansas, or Topeka, Kansas. Now, I was actually supposed to headline that and help the people out there at that event, and it was canceled due to COVID, which was a bummer. I was really depressed by that. And then in late July, I was supposed to be going to Kenya, Africa.
Wow.
But that was scrapped due to COVID. So that was kind of a bummer. And then I plan on writing another book. I plan on getting my actual story in a book and getting that published and getting that out there. And then what's next? Oh, I have actually had the idea of a workshop with that Make Every Second Count, a 1,500-hour journal. And that would be like an all-day workshop where I would take people on a journey through those things in the book and help them learn more from the book. Because it's so possible that kids live today with strong foundations on their life. They can go through all kinds of things without depression, without anxiety, without committing suicide. Now, I know that's a strong word, and that might throw people off. But did you know that suicide is now the second leading cause of death for adolescents 15 to 19 years of age?
I bet a lot of people didn't know that.
Stop and listen to that one more time. So, suicide is now the second leading cause of death for adolescents 15 through 19 years of age. What were you doing at 15 through 19? Is that where you learned things? Is that where your life actually started? Because this is where their life ends.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to do my part to lower that, to make that a thing of the past.
Yeah. I love that. I think it's such a definitely something that needs more attention to it. And I know that there are parents out there that are trying the best that they can. And this is just a very different world that we're in now. There's a lot of things that our teens are faced with that we did not have growing up. And so it's amazing that we don't only have the parents that are giving every effort to help their teens, but we have people like you that are offering that extra support so that we don't, as parents, we don't have to do this alone, that there are people out there that can help and provide inspiration. For example, in Make Every Second Count book as well. Jeff, I really just thank you so much for your time today, so much for being here on the Breakthrough Show with us. Do you have anything that you'd like to leave everyone with today?
Well, I actually do. So if you are interested in my journal, you can go to my website at www.Marconette, MarConette Jr. jr.com/journal, and you can actually download the first 7 days of my journal, which are on gratitude, and that is completely free.
Yay.
Yeah.
We love that. We love
that. Yeah, and if people aren't happy with a free gift, because it is hard to give out free things, people don't see the value in things that are free. Well, you have to enter some information like your name and your email address. So it's not exactly free, but it's close to free.
That's good. It's as close as you're going to get. And it's, like I said, it's completely, I've gone through the book, looked through it myself. You're going to be thrilled. I just know it. And it'll be such a minimum exchange for that name, that name and email. Jeff, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you.
No problem. Thank you so much.
All right, guys, make sure you check the show notes for all of Jeff's information and how you can get your hands on a copy of Make Every Second Count, a 1,500-hour journal. And we'll be back in just a minute for more of The Breakthrough Show. Breakthroughs are about more than you might think. They're about discovering who you are, digging deep, reaching to the core of your soul. They're about healing yourself, understanding your beliefs, creating a ripple effect. And it's not just those initial moments that matter. It's about using them to bring more joy into our own lives and the lives of others. It's about having fun, letting loose, enjoying every moment life has to offer. It's about finding a safe space. It's about creating connection. Join us each and every month for exclusive programming, where we invite you to go beyond the breakthrough. So we ask you, are you ready? We'll see you online at thebreakthroughshow.com. Welcome back to the Breakthrough Show. It was so amazing getting to talk to Jeff today, but I'm back now with Ben, Vanessa, and Vianney. So excited to have you guys here today. And I'm really excited to ask you about a summit that you guys hosted last week called the Kids CEO Summit. Tell us a little bit about that, Ben.
Right. So with the Kids CEO podcast, I was trying to, originally, the mission was much different and it kind of pivoted over time. But the end goal was, inspiring other kid entrepreneurs. I am, happy to say that has worked in inspiring other kids to become entrepreneurs. And the next step for that was kind of bringing them all together, because being a kid entrepreneur, if you compare that to the ratio of kid entrepreneurs to entrepreneurs in general, it's very, very slim, maybe 1 in 100,000. But we have strength in numbers. We have a lot of opportunities if we work together, getting media, sharing customers, sharing exposure. And there's a lot of strength in that. So I wanted to kind of have a conference where kids can come together and maybe find new team members, maybe build some partnerships, find, other kids just to socialize with. The other part of that was inspiring other kids who aren't entrepreneurs yet with some of the world's greatest kid entrepreneurs. And lastly, was educating these kids on how to create a scalable business, because a lot of these courses online for kid entrepreneurs, they're a little targeted towards creating implosive businesses, like businesses that are, things that maybe building a lemonade stand, selling some of your old toys. I mean, they're great businesses, but they're not scalable to a large level. And so I wanted to teach not just me, but a couple of our other kid entrepreneurs who are, I would consider, experts in the field, to teach a workshop on on a specific aspect of a scalable business. For example, Kid Everest, who I mentioned earlier, will be teaching crowdfunding because they're a crowdfunding site. So I would consider them, best of the best. And funding is such an important part for a business. And I think that workshop will be amazing.
I love that. And I noticed that you're having kids teaching kids in this event. Do you think that kids are mostly open more to other children teaching them, or do you find that there's value there in also finding those select adults that are able to teach you things on your level as well?
Right. I think there is value in, learning from kids and adults. Of course, certain adults like Gary Vee, or more modernly, Mr. Beast, would have a really big impact. Kids love those people. So, of course, they would have a big impact, seeing them right there in front of them. But I think there's also a lot of value in kids teaching kids, because when a kid maybe watches Bill Gates speak, it seems like there's so much distance between you and Bill Gates. He's 80 years old. There's 60 years difference between you guys. He's gone on, created a huge company. You might not have started a company yet. And there's such a big differential that if there's someone else, though, like a kid who is about your age, who has this huge nonprofit, there's really not that big of a difference anymore, because, work really hard for a year, you could be him. Whereas, if you work really hard for a year, you can't really be 80 years old. Time doesn't work like that. But when they see a kid who's so inspirational, it makes it easy to see themselves in that position. Therefore, bringing them up in both motivation, in both confidence, and inspiration.
I love that. You mentioned, as we talked about the summit, your Kid CEO podcast. Tell us just briefly what that's about.
Right. So on the Kids CEO podcast, I interview amazing kids who are doing great things to change the perception of what kids can do, and also who are just changing the world as it is, making it a better tomorrow.
Speaking of tomorrow and speaking of things to come, Vanessa, where do you see yourself in 10, 20 years from now? Do you think that all of this, do you see yourself getting burnout completely and just needing a nap, or is this going to pay off into something amazing?
I definitely have a passion for doing social media managing, but of course, social media on its own can be a pretty daunting task.
Right.
So, out in the world. And so in 10, 20 years, I plan on going to college, getting a good education. Career-wise, I'm pretty flexible. And what's great about social media managing is that you can do it from anywhere, any place, anytime. It has that flexibility and variety that I don't think I'll ever get bored with it. And I'm definitely open to new projects and things like that. So it's really, I'm just see where it takes me. It's always about the journey and the adventure to get there. And so I think going with the flow is one of the best things that I can do for myself and career-wise, just to see where.
Another lesson that some of us adults can take home today is going with the flow a little bit. It's always good, I think, to envision what you want for the future, but enjoying the moment and the journey, I think, is so important, especially at your age when you guys are your kids, your teenagers, and enjoying the moment. I think I look back and wish I did that more than what I did. And so it's so good to see you have that mindset. Vianney, do you have big dreams for yourself?
I do. I love acting and singing, so maybe in the future I could be in more musicals and stuff like that. I have a lot of dreams too. I want to be a teacher when I grow up because I like helping others and making fun and learning, because I love learning and my teachers did a very good job in school because I love learning. So I think I want to be a teacher when I grow up and maybe a singer possibly.
Related. You could be, Vianney, you could be the singing teacher and become social media famous. And then Vanessa will manage it for you and Ben will have you on the podcast. Do you see how that works?
Yes, I do.
See, we've got it all planned out for you guys here. It's amazing. It's amazing. So, Ben, I'd like to ask you the same question. What do you see for yourself in 10, 20 years?
Right. Yeah, this is a really big question.
How important is it for you guys as you're envisioning yourself 10, 20 years down the road to see happiness?
It's definitely I think it's in all of our minds. I mean, that is the ultimate goal, just to be happy. And it's crazy to think about 10, 20 years from now, because we haven't even lived 20 years. And so to think in that far of the future, I can only hope for everyone, the three of us, to experience that happiness and fully be content with our lives.
Vianney, can you change the world?
Yes, I can change the world.
I love it. I love it. Just absolutely confident. Yes. There are adults who, when asked that question, they don't know. They don't know. And I think somewhere along the line, we lose as adults that childhood innocence of believing and knowing that we can. And I love that you guys are living that. You're a living example of what's possible for our children. You're a living example of, just doing good in the world, regardless of your age. Doesn't matter, that you can do it. Thank you guys so much for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, guys, I would encourage you to check out the show notes where you can find all the information to connect with Ben, Vanessa, and Vianney. And thank you guys so much for being here today. Another incredible episode under our belts today here at The Breakthrough Show. A huge thank you to our very special guests, Benjamin Wong, Vanessa Wong, Viani Wong, and of course, Jeff Marconette Jr. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas. I want to thank you for watching wherever you are in the world. And until next week, make every day a great day for a breakthrough. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Breakthrough. Please visit our website at www.thebreakthroughshow.com. And And be sure to join our After the Breakthrough community powered by Patreon. We look forward to seeing you next week. Same time, same place for another inspiring episode.